Well, hello, my name is Brian Dunn, and I'm the small groups pastor here at Stonebridge. And I have the privilege of talking about the second topic of the 7 Gs, which is group. What is group? Well, we define group as a gathering of people who practice life together in Christ. It doesn't mean that you have to go off and sell all your possessions and move into a communal compound together and sing Kumbaya all day long. So just rest. It simply means that as a growing Christ follower, you choose to believe that a connected life is better than an isolated life. It means that you are an active part of a group of people that are running after the same goal. We feel that it's in the context of a group that our mission as a church will be more fully realized, because it's in these smaller circles where we can really encourage each other towards a real, healthy, and growing relationship with Jesus Christ. I love this simple challenge in the book of Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 and 25. It says, "Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near." And then I love in John 17, it's Jesus' prayer, where he prayed for his disciples. And he also prayed for those who would believe their message, which is us. And he prayed for their oneness, the same oneness that's in the Godhead. And so in verses 20 through 21, this is what he prays. It says, "My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me." So Jesus, he leads a small group of 12 guys from different backgrounds, personalities, political views, and on for 3 years, and teaches them how to be one and how to love each other. He then prays over them and sends them into the world. And what's amazing about his prayer is that he said it's not the blind receiving sight or a terminal illness being healed that will convince a skeptical world that there's a God. He says that the world will believe in God when they see a group of people learn to love each other and walk in unity. Theologian Francis Schaeffer said it this way. He said, "Our relationship with each other is the criterion the world uses to judge whether our message is truthful. Christian community is the final apologetic." So it's clearly part of God's design for you and me, if we are to mature as Christ followers, to be a part of a group and reflect him to the world. There are 59 one another statements in the New Testament that instruct us on how to relate to each other. There are things like forgive one another, love one another, and accept one another. As Andy Stanley, who's a pastor in Atlanta, puts it, the primary activity of the church was one anothering one another. Try to say that 5 times in a row. These are truths that aren't just learned by reading a book. Knowledge about the importance of a group turns into conviction as we open up our lives to other people. I'm naturally more inclined to be introverted and often want to avoid people and retreat to a quiet place and just read books. I have to discipline myself to make group a priority because I've come to a conviction that I need group. Dr. Bill Ezekian, which that's another fun word to say, he's a Christian writer and he's the co-founder of Willow Creek Church in Chicago. He shares this about the importance of group. He says it's in small groups that people get close enough to know each other, to care and share, to challenge and support, to confide and confess, to forgive and be forgiven, to laugh and weep together, to be accountable to each other, to watch over each other, and to grow together. Personal growth does not happen in isolation. It is the result of interactive relationships. Small groups are God's gift to foster changes in character and spiritual growth. So it's in a group that the big theological ideas become real and tangible. We understand God's love as we love one another. When my wife and I first arrived at home after adopting our son, and people from our group showed up with meals at our doorstep, we felt that love. When we've had misunderstandings and tensions and disappointments in group and we've talked them through and forgiven each other, I'm reminded that God has forgiven me in Christ. When our group gathers together and we represent different ages and personalities and genders and socioeconomic levels, and yet we fully accept one another, I'm reminded about how I'm accepted by God in Christ. It's in these experiences that happen in group life that God starts to change me and use me in someone else's life too. And through a smaller setting where we can ask questions and dialogue, that's where real growth can begin to finally take place. Spiritual habits and ideas and people's faith stories, they start to rub off on me, and they begin to affect my own habits, my own thinking, my own way of life. Over time, being a part of a group will affect your life and who you're becoming. Now, we're excited to continue on this journey of the 7 Gs, and we feel like it's going to become eventually a part of the culture of Stonebridge and part of our everyday conversation as we pursue Christ together.